The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right. Good morning, traders. Sorry for the delay. Had a little bit of technical snafus, but we are up and running. Welcome out to the Tradespoon live trading room, stocks and options. Opening bell. My name is Scott. I will be filling in for Vlad today and tomorrow morning. Glad to have a little extra time with you, my friends. Good morning, Bob. Glad to have you early today. Very nice. Good morning, LK. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Mark. Oh, I sound like I'm in a barrel. You know what? See, the technical snafus continue. Let me see what's going on. Why it's not picking up. There we go. How about now? Use new hardware. Some reason it was not picking up my fancy microphone. But we're back up and running. More gooder. All right. Good morning, Bill. Thank you for that. I appreciate you letting me know. My name is Scott. I'm the head trading coach here at Tradespoon. I'll be your host. I've been trading for a while, teaching for a while. These are the disclosures. Trading can be risky. Be careful out there. Know what you're doing. Manage your risk. We're not advisors. Yada, yada, yada. Phil. Oh, good. Thank you, Phil. Sound is better. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't pick it up. It just wasn't registering my good microphone. It was defaulting to my webcam, actually, which is weird. Okay. What's happening? Well, the market looks like it's trying to make that shift, that spring bouncy shift, possibly. It's popping around. We've said there's some key things that have to happen one way or the other. For us to, get a good sense of the direction we want to trade. So let's keep talking about it. Let's see what's there and what might be setting up. Futures are flat. Dow's down 0.01. Excuse me, S&P down 0.01, Dow up 0.03, NASDAQ up 0.04, Russell up 0.19. So just kind of flat. Stock futures subdued ahead of more Fed testimony, Powell testimony. We do have a deeper bond yield inversion since the deepest sense Volcker suggests hard landing. That's not great information. Retail execs say inventories are in great shape. Following the pandemic, everything seems to be in balance, and that helps the consumer discretionary sector. That's certainly one that we like to see lead when it comes to sector rotation and demonstrating that institutional money is flowing into growth sectors. What else? Good information to have. House buyers stuck waiting on the side. So the housing market still kind of dicey, but it's dicey, but it's not like this catastrophe. Like something would be, oh, this is like 2008. It's not even close. Like, what are they talking about? Doom and gloom. You always got to beware of the doom and gloom. It's so easy for it. Bank of America predicts most people won't even notice slight recession. Okay, I could get on board with that, where it's like, a double dip, but you're just like, man, we already had the big one. I could see rates staying, that was life though, right? Like I was, 6%, 5% mortgages around that. That's pretty tenable. I mean, it's not lovely the way cheap money has been, but yeah, I could agree with that. What's on the calendar? Let's find out. Oh, that's right. I almost forgot. So, um, the ADP employment report came out this morning, expected at 205, came in at 242. We adapt, but we don't have to like it. I agree, Bill. So the private payrolls came back better than expected, and still, like, this is the big piece to me of the puzzle, is as long as things don't get to that point where we really start to see a big dent in the employment market, the labor market, I think whatever dip we have is manageable. But here you can see we're going to get job openings. We're still expecting there to be 10.6 million. And we're still expecting unemployment to be at 3.4%. Yeah, there's still 2 jobs for every unemployed person, theoretically. I know everyone will make an argument, and I understand. What I'm saying is that there's still jobs out there. There's still not many people who want to be employed that aren't employed. There's labor withdrawal numbers that people talk about. I don't like ADP. That's a fact, but it is positive. I mean, it is what it is, right? That does lead us to the Friday numbers. Also expected to come back in the low 2s. Remember, we had a huge surprise, and the huge surprise was big enough that everyone's like, "That's a terrible number," because the Fed, blah blah blah. I mean, it's. Does it mean that the Fed has more liberty, right? More rope to raise rates? Yeah, it does, right? They're going to be like, yeah, they actually acknowledged that raising rates could have a negative impact on unemployment, and that they would be comfortable even if it went up two percentage points. That might be something that would happen. So anyways, okay, let's keep going. What else do we know? I mean, those are the big ones. We do have the Bayes book today, but we have Powell testifying, so those things are, kind of the same. But then Friday we have Department of Labor numbers. Okay. How does Stella see it? She's shifted. She's softened her approach and said, "Hey, look, remember what we said? We said, okay, what might we look for? Right? It's got a pop, and we got the pop. Boom, boom. We broke out of that consolidation. We'll see it on the standard price chart too. And we got to that high, and then we turned around, and that's okay as long as what? As long as this thing turns from here. So sideways today, bullish tomorrow is what Stella says. That could lead to this, and whatever this is, there's obviously, this is some gray area. Certainly, if there's more, this could get up, but there's the opening bell. So starting to see things a little bit more favorably on the SPY. Let's look at the other ones. QQQ, very similar. Says neutral, but really gives you the same read. Still in the pullback, turning, bouncing. So Stella's definitely seeing price action that looks like it could be about. Good morning, Fred. Good to see you. Here's DIA, the Dow. Very similar, a little bit more abrupt, more volatility in the price action, but very much correlation amongst the broad indices, looking for the same kind of a thing. Let's go IWM. Same read, a little flatter. There's the small caps have definitely been a little bit interesting. So Okay. Okay. This is, if I zoom in over here, this is what we've had. Um, I mean, you can see there's been some correlation. The correlation here, I don't understand why it just sits down at negative 44. But what do we tend to see now? So April, this is where we tend to get this bump, and you can see there might be another bump here that we're talking about now, and then a small consolidation, and then really pop. Does the market look like that's feasible? Yeah, right. I mean, you can see that we've broken the consolidation, popped out of it, higher high. Now it's sold back down, and then today. So if today stabilizes and then turns, that's a higher low, right? You can see that's what the thing that you'd be looking for. Same kind of a thing happened back in here where it popped out and then turned, and then you got a few extra abilities to trade through there. Prior to Christmas in the pre-Santa rally that didn't fizzled a little bit. It fizzled a little bit. But as I look at this here, yeah, let's hop over to the VIX. Now, the VIX was interesting because right here, you had to make this decision to say, was this a higher low, a same low? If you hedged it, I'd be like, yep, I can see why you would do that. If you didn't hedge it, I'd be like, okay, I'm assuming you can see this thing got down to 18, which was actually at the same 1816, and this was 1811. So these basically got to the same place. It didn't close there, but it got there. I was on the fence. Anyone hedge? I'd like to hear. Did you think about it? Did you think about it and do it? Did you think about it and not do it? I picked up a half, so I've got some. Right. Sometimes I'll do half positions and then add if I need to, or vice versa. So this was, we remember as this was coming down right in here, we were really nervous. We're like, oh, this could be building, but it didn't. And then it didn't. Bought a titch of VIX on Monday, Ted. It sounds like you and me saw it somewhat similarly. Nice to have a little a little hedge in place. Not too late. I would say no. I would say it's not. I mean, it's really, this confirmed yesterday, and yesterday was obviously a down day, and today we're kind of flat. So if you're still thinking about it, I still think this is valid. Now, as I extrapolate out what are the possibilities, so it's like this was, so I mean, if I draw this low, you can see we touched it. You can see that, but you can also say, well, the bodies were still slightly okay. But if this comes up, VIX just too much complacency. Got it? I mean, it's in a place that if this comes up here and it doesn't get past, I mean, realistically, I'd say anything through this level. But if it just kind of dies in this area and then turns, well, then what do we have? Well, then that's a high, and that is a quick reversal. Be water. We have to be ready to reverse quickly in times like this. How are we more ready to reverse quickly? If we don't have a lot in place, right? If we don't have a lot in place. So if you had a lot of bearish trades on and this thing all of a sudden reversed and gave this lower high, you'd be in a lot of trouble, right? You'd be in a lot of trouble. But if I got that lower high confirmation, I would close my hedge, and I would definitely look to have some additional bullish trades on. And that this, right? So as of right now, if you were looking or recently put a bearish trade on, I would be like, yep, I can see why you did that. Because overall, we're still probably more neutral than anything in our market posture, right? Maybe you're still a little bullish or a little bear, but overall, I would say neutrality, especially when it comes to the amount of risk we're putting on. If anyone sees it differently, let me know. If you agree, let me know. I'd love to get some consensus. But we're in a market that's trying to figure out what's next, and we've seen good enough information from institutional or from sector rotation, which is representative of institutional, that indicated a little more bullish than not. So what would I do? I would look for bearish or bullish trades, thinking this was coming down. Anything bearish, it was yesterday or today or nothing, and just watching, right? So from here, could we also imagine a scenario where this actually pauses and then pops and retests here? Yeah, I would say that could happen. And if that's the case, you'd be glad to have a bearish position or two or a hedge or whatever else, right? And so we've said that we're kind of in that state of limbo, trying to decide what is the next direction. And a good reminder, Fred says, that I say, it's a long day. It's a long day. Whatever we start with now could be very different. What we talk about this afternoon, I will be here this afternoon. I'll be here tomorrow morning, and I'll be here Friday morning. So we get to hang out the rest of the week, at least part of it, is deciding which of these scenarios make more sense. Now, remember, this is VIX. Let's go pop back over Powell's second day testimony, same as yesterday, Ted said, but still have Q&As coming. I got to tell you, and I'm not even sure when this was. I want to say it was 2003 or 4, maybe, somewhere around there, 2003, 2004. And not so young and not so spry Alan Greenspan was heading the Fed, and he was testifying for Congress, and somebody asked him a question. He said, I think it was the Senate. He said, Senator, I should probably warn you, if my answer seems particularly clear to you, you probably didn't understand what I said. It was hilarious. It's like, yeah, if you think you understand this, you don't. Okay, let's go back to the SPY. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. What's the focus? What do you see? What do we see? Don't think, don't feel, don't believe. See it. And we saw that this was consolidating. We had some concerns about it. It popped the consolidation. Boom, boom, 2 days. We got out. And now it's like, you're like, oh, no, I was wrong. But not necessarily. Like I said, could we? Yes. But could we also see this thing just sort of stabilize and turn? And there's the higher low confirmation. We're right at that point to decide what's it going to be here. So it's a long day today. We could end up back. We could all of a sudden at the end of today see this thing right here. And then if you had your hedge on, you're probably glad and you're wondering, is it going to stabilize? Right? If it gets below this, then trouble, more trouble. That's when you're glad you had your hedge. That's when you're glad you didn't have a lot of bullish things on. If you had them on, I would imagine there's not a lot bullish, but if I was looking for something new, I'm making sure that if this stabilizes, I'm ready for the setup. The model sees it more bullishly. I definitely have seen signs that indicate potential for bullish. Yeah. So, And I'll tell you what, anything that you might have thought about bearishly probably got shook during this 3-day window right here, where it's just like, oh, what have I done with bearish trades? So, okay, let's hit the watch list. Let's hit the watch list. If I can find it. Where is... Oh, okay. Alcoa. I got to say, I look at Alcoa. I mean, I know it's basic materials. I know that materials have been interesting, but materials had a bit of a turnaround, right? They've had a bit of a turnaround. And as such, I've got to, if this is all you showed me, I'd be like, wow, like buyers did a little bit of a smash and grab right here. And then they took a breather, and then the sellers came in and they pushed it back, old highs, new lows. If this turns from here and this flips up, yeah, I would say that's absolutely a viable opportunity on our hands for that position, without a doubt. Without a doubt. So right early on, I'm thinking to myself, we have a candidate for the shopping list, for the, I call it a short list, and I realize that it's that's a bit confusing, because we're thinking a short, like you're thinking sell it. But when I say short list, I mean a not very long list. Literally a short list. That is the meaning of that. But we'll call it a shopping list. We'll call it our willing to trade list. Right? Not everything is going to be a setup. We know that for a fact. So what is? Apple. So Apple's early, right? Apple's sorry, not early. I would say behind. Like it still seems like there could be some more. Like it's just barely turning. I want to see what happens as the sellers come in. ADI actually was already in a setup type position. So, this is one that we've talked about where semiconductors gave, to some extent, a possible entry into semiconductors. They haven't done much, but they're trying. They haven't gone wrong either. So okay, we will keep going. Yes, we can look at SoFi and UNG. Absolutely. Archer Daniels still sort of in a downward area. AMD, right? So you can see that it was this little transition. So at this point, I would say AMD looks over bought, but if it rolls over and pulls back, I'd say that there's some potential there. Amazon, I would actually say that's a maybe. And you're like, what? Why do you think that? Well, because there's my consolidation. We seem to have gotten on the upper side of it. If it doesn't drop back to 90 and it turns, then I would think, you know what? Like I said, I would think about it. I would talk about it. I'd run some numbers on it. AXP. AXP actually gave a signal back through here, moved up. If you traded it, you might have given some back very quickly here yesterday. Maybe you had already taken half your profits when you got the sideways day. Same thing. If it doesn't break below 173 and it stabilizes and looks to turn, I would say that's actually viable for a potential. Boeing. Okay. Now we talked about Boeing. We talked about that we didn't love this little gap, but it's stabilized. The buyers have come back in. That's enough for me that if I get a higher low, which maybe is forming, right? Maybe is forming. The priority list. That's good. I like that. Priority. If it doesn't, I would say my zone is probably through here, right? I don't like it to get too close to the old level. So if it turns in that zone, yeah, we like industrials. Boeing, Caterpillar, John Deere. It was Caterpillar before, but now I don't like Chinese stocks. I watch them. There was some times back in here where I'm like, do we want to? Do we want to? And I'm just like, I can't do it. And yeah, there's not much there right now. I think we would all agree that seems interesting. Caterpillar, same as Boeing. They're very similar right now. They both had that pop up. Both look like they could be establishing higher lows. It's one or the other, though, right? You got to decide. We'll see what John Deere looks like here in a second. ConocoPhillips, oil. There's not much for me with energy or oil right now. I'm not interested. We'll see about UNG. Costco still shook. It got its earnings. You know, they were actually okay. They exceeded expectations by a little bit, but you can see it's just trying to work its way out. Maybe it's choppy. But also, you know, if it ever just kind of comes down and breaks out of that, I might be talking about it just a little bit differently. Okay. What else? I need to eat more hot dogs. It takes a lot at $1.50, right? Oh, DBC. Ooh, look at DBC trying to make a reversal. That might be natural gas. We've been talking about natural gas being like extraordinarily low. And there being a opportunity when it reversed out of it to, you know, catch the rebound. And that could be what we're seeing drive DBCs trying to make a higher low. Yeah, see, John Deere's more sideways. I like Caterpillar and Boeing better. Forget what I think about Chinese stocks. Remember, trade what you see. I know. Here's the thing. Is I know that they are somewhat subject to, you know, governmental influence and manipulation. I always have that in the back of my mind. There's always like the potential for our government's retribution to be like, well, we're not gonna, we may delist these things. We may, right? I mean, it's just, and it seems to be escalating the whole dynamic. Okay, here's DIA. Looks okay. Maybe it holds. Here's Disney. Yeah, I don't know. They were on a pretty steep decline, but this kind of thing, whoops, it could reverse out of it right there, right? And that might be a great trade. I'm open to it. I'm open. Disney still owes me some money from a trip last December, anyways. It's on loan. I want it back through the stock. FCX, materials are hard. I like Alcoa. If I'm going to do a materials, it's going to be Alcoa. I'll tell you that right now. FedEx actually looks good for a potential bounce before earnings. I would have that on the priority list. That does sound good, Bob. That's got a good ring to it. The priority list. I like it. And I'll keep giving you credit for another week or two, and then all of a sudden the narrative will change, and I'll be like, yeah, I was struck with a great idea to call it the priority list. Anyways. FXI, Apple. I think Apple was, Apple's actually bullish right now, you can see, but I think Apple maybe is just in the beginnings of its consolidation. I like AXP better than Goldman. Small caps trying to figure it out. Jets made a. So you can see it's not just retail, but the entire consumer discretionary sector kind of busted up out of that. New high. Now what? If it pulls back and makes a higher low, I think we'll have opportunity in the discretionary area. Sometime this week, we'll do a sector rotation. It won't be today. I've got a hard stop here in a minute. MasterCard looks pretty good. I like that. Broke out, pulling back. MasterCard with the AXP. Those are two leaders for me in the financial. Meta. I mean, you trade what you see. What do you see? I see that it's almost like a cup and handle. Came down, back up, got back to it. Now this is the handle. I love trading into the handle of a cup and handle. If it turns. Right now we're just watching. This could be a sell day. It could be a pause day. We may be a day away. We may be 3 days away. But right now what we're trying to do is evaluate the sellers. Are the sellers strong or are they weak? If they're strong, then we wonder if it's going to get back to the old lows or break the old lows. And if you're worried about that, then you would want to have your bearish trades or hedges already in place. If the sellers don't do very much, then we think, oh, the little smash and grab the buyers made has going to have legs and they're going to make a run for another dash. Okay. That's what we're setting up for right now is if I'm not saying I'm definitely going to trade these things. I'm saying let's have a priority list of bullish trades that are lining up that if this thing turns, we're ready to go. Marvell does not have a cup and handle. You can see. Chips not looking. Marvell does not look great. I mean, the chips overall okay. We liked, AMD trying. Microsoft is a maybe, and is actually a day ahead of Apple, in my opinion, for the consolidation. Apple's like here, and this one's already pulling back a little bit. I need both for technology to really do well. I need both. Netflix just kind of meandering down. It was very strong for a while there, but now it's just kind of trying to figure it out. Nvidia still looks strong, but sometimes Nvidia is hard to get a signal. It's hard to find a consistent pullback and entry, but let's keep an eye on it. I like that, Fred. Trade small, trade often. And as Bill Gates would say, fail fast, fail cheap. Oracle, sideways, QQQ. Hasn't looked great, but it absolutely is showing signs of a potential bullish reversal for me. Starbucks, yeah, maybe. Silver is down. Semiconductors kind of tepid. You can see. Here is SOFI, Sophie. I don't know. You can see it's been in this consolidation. Maybe it's at the lows. I don't know. I still would maybe want to see a bigger pop and then catch the pullback after a bigger pop that really shows a shift. That's an interesting one. It looks like it has some running power for sure. I mean, it can move. Where was I? Here's the SPY. Let's take a quick peek at its opening range. And you can see we opened, we ran up, we came back, we held. I would say the opening range, I mean, some people might put it up there. I would probably, it looks like it's trying to make a bullish run. I could see us, I don't know. That's a tough one. I can see that one going either way, quite honestly. Okay. Target. Target is down. Doesn't look great. Toll Brothers still looks okay. I don't know. Tesla, you can see it wanted to hold. It didn't. It had a little run. Now it's going the other way. Here's natural gas, UNG. Let's zoom in on this a little bit. Yeah, honestly, whenever this thing stabilizes, if it doesn't drop below 8, but if it holds at 850 and then turns, I think there's easily a run from 850 to 10 just in a blink of an eye. It's the Widowmaker, they call it. It's fast. Do I have a recording of sector analysis I did last year? Ooh, I don't. Last year, Cool? I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good question. UNG Visa. So I think all of credit is trying to lead in the spreadsheet. I'm not sure. Let me look and see. Visa everywhere you want to be. No, it's Visa, MasterCard, AXP, they're all looking good for a turnaround. Here's the VIX. Again, what is it setting up for? It's a tough read, but I would say it still has a look that could escalate, but it also has a potential setup that would indicate things are turning around. XLF financials here, not quite as good. So I would say financials aren't great, but I would say credit is leading the way. Here are industrials. Industrials look strong, right? You can see it on the ETF. We saw it with Boeing and Caterpillar. So we're seeing some technology with maybe a chip stock, Microsoft, maybe Apple. We're seeing it with financials, AXP, MasterCard, more credit than like banks or institutions or banks or brokers yet. We're seeing it in consumer discretionary, some retail setups. Those are bullish segments of the market that are shifting and showing that. So XLP kind of down, not much in the staples. And here's consumer discretionary. So again, this doesn't look great. It's early for discretionary, but it's possible. I would say that for me right now, industrials, technology, financial, that's where it is. Maybe this afternoon, we'll have time to run a sector rotation analysis. Just kind of see where it looks like the money's flowing. We got through the watch list. I'm gonna cut us off a little early today. I actually have an appointment. I'm filling in for Vlad, but I have to run. We will be here. We will be back in 5 hours. 5 hours from now, we will return to discuss today's long day and are any of these signals that we're looking for setting up or not so much. What is the stochastics telling me? It's at a high. Does not. Yeah. Okay. So yes, for sure. You can see that it was, and it's already turned back down. So if this is going to turn again, it can happen very quickly, right? It might not go this long. When it's bullish, it might be like this, where it comes down just a little bit and then pops again. So the stochastics can help with overbought, oversold, but overall, I'm definitely more focused on the price action. Powell started talking, and what's the market doing? Let's just take a quick peek, and then we'll. You're right. The Powell effect right there. We'll see how long that lasts. Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot of time, a lot of price action, and then we'll discuss it later this afternoon. I hope you can join me. If not, take a look at the recording. And then I'll be back tomorrow morning, and we'll see what of this plays out. Let's have we'll have some powder in the keg, hopefully, and then we'll go from there. All right. Well, listen, everybody, I've got to run. It's great to see you all. Have a wonderful rest of your day. If I don't see you, otherwise, I'll see you in about 5 hours, and we'll chat about it. Thanks again, and as always, happy trading.